On screen, he was the untouchable action hero, a martial arts master who always saved the day. But behind the scenes, a very different story was being told. It's a story of massive egos, on-set fights, and bitter rivalries that turned some of Hollywood's biggest stars into Steven Seagal's sworn enemies. From the cast of Saturday Night Live calling him the worst host in the show's history, to the legendary actor who says Seagal elbowed him into a brick wall just for laughing. This is the long list of celebrities who can't stand Steven Seagal and the wild stories behind why they'll probably never work with him again. Let's start on the set of the 1996 action thriller, Executive Decision. The film had a stacked cast including Kurt Russell, Halle Berry, and the always great John Leguizamo. For Leguizamo, this was a huge Hollywood movie, but his excitement quickly turned to anger thanks to an infamous run-in with Seagal. This wasn't some heated moment during a complex action scene. It happened during a simple rehearsal. According to Leguizamo, who has told this story consistently for years, the cast was together when Seagal, playing a Special Forces lieutenant colonel, decided to establish his authority in the strangest way possible. Seagal apparently walked in and announced, "I'm in command. What I say is law." The statement was so over the top that Leguizamo couldn't help but laugh. He thought it was a joke. He was wrong. As Leguizamo tells it, Seagal, a man standing at a towering 6'5", took offense to the laughter. He saw it as a challenge. In a sudden, violent move, Seagal allegedly used an Aikido technique to slam Leguizamo against a brick wall. The impact knocked the wind out of Leguizamo, leaving him stunned on the ground and thinking, "Why? Why?" He later joked that while Seagal runs like a girl, he unfortunately hits like a 6'5" dude. This moment sparked a lifelong grudge. Leguizamo has called Seagal a horrible, pathological liar and makes a point to share the story, ensuring Seagal's on-set behavior isn't forgotten. He's also mentioned that Seagal was known for deliberately hurting stuntmen, a claim that many others have backed up. For John Leguizamo, it wasn't just a clash of egos. It was a physical attack that fueled decades of justified animosity. The long-celebrated history of Saturday Night Live. One name is consistently cited as the absolute worst host ever, Steven Seagal. His appearance on April 20th, 1991, has become legendary, a cautionary tale of an ego so massive it nearly sank the entire show. The main job of an SNL host is to be able to make fun of yourself, a concept that was completely lost on Seagal. According to then-cast member Tim Meadows, Seagal complained about jokes he didn't get, and was openly critical of the writers and performers. Meadows explained the problem perfectly. He didn't realize you can't tell somebody they're stupid on Wednesday and expect them to continue writing for you on Saturday. The tension peaked during a rehearsal for a Hans and Franz sketch. Dana Carvey and Kevin Nealon's characters were supposed to insult Seagal, saying their hero Arnold Schwarzenegger could easily beat him. Seagal reportedly became furious at the idea that anyone, even in a comedy sketch, could best him. He refused to do it as written. His behavior got so bad that show creator Lorne Michaels reportedly considered airing a rerun, which is almost unheard of. Writer Bob Odenkirk recalled that Seagal seemed clueless about the show, repeatedly claiming he'd never seen SNL. The cast found him humorless and incredibly difficult. The episode itself was a dud. Seagal's performance was stiff, and his energy dragged every sketch down. It became such a joke that when Nicolas Cage hosted the next year, he worried in his monologue that the cast might think he was the biggest jerk who's ever been on the show. Lorne Michaels quickly called out from offstage, No, that would be Steven Seagal." For his total lack of humor and terrible attitude, Seagal has never been invited back. Before Steven Seagal was a movie star, he was a martial arts instructor, and one of his early clients was James Bond himself, Sean Connery. In 1982, Connery was getting ready to play 007 again in Never Say Never Again, and Seagal was hired to train him. What was supposed to be a standard training gig ended with an injury Connery talked about for years. During one of their training sessions, Seagal broke Sean Connery's wrist. Now, while accidents happen, some have speculated Seagal did it on purpose out of frustration. Connery, however, always publicly described it as an accident born from his own overconfidence. In a 1996 interview on The Tonight Show, he explained that he was getting a little cocky with his Aikido. In a flash moment, he moved his arm incorrectly, and Seagal demonstrated a technique that snapped his wrist. What makes the story even crazier is that Connery didn't realize how bad the injury was at the time. He lived with the broken bone for years, thinking it was just a minor sprain, until a doctor finally told him it was and had been broken the whole time. While Connery never seemed overly angry about it, the story stands as an early example of Seagal's aggressive physical style. Whether it was an accident or not, the fact is Steven Seagal broke the wrist of a cinema icon, a clear warning sign of the reputation that would follow him. In the 90s, few action hero rivalries were as real as the one between Steven Seagal and Jean-Claude Van Damme. This wasn't for publicity. It was a genuine clash of egos that almost led to a real fight. The feud was mostly fueled by Seagal, who made a habit of dismissing other action stars' martial arts skills. During a 1991 appearance on the Arsenio Hall show, he scoffed at the idea of Van Damme being a real champion, saying it was just a matter of opinion. That comment didn't go over well with the muscles from Brussels. The tension finally boiled over in 1997 at a party at Sylvester Stallone's Miami mansion. According to Stallone, Van Damme got tired of Seagal's trash talk and challenged him to a fight right there in the backyard. Faced with a direct challenge from a legitimate kickboxer, Seagal's tough guy act apparently fell apart. Stallone said Seagal made his excuses and left. But Van Damme wasn't done. He tracked Seagal down at a nightclub later that night and challenged him again. And once again, according to Stallone, Seagal pulled a Houdini and disappeared. Stallone's takeaway was simple. Van Damme was just too strong. Seagal wanted none of it. The incident became legendary, a moment that showed a big difference between Seagal's on-screen persona and his off-screen reluctance to back up his talk. Seagal's bad reputation goes way beyond his co-stars. Some of the most consistent criticism comes from the stunt community. Two stories in particular stand out. One involving the legendary judo Gene LeBell, and another from stuntman Kane Hodder. The story about Gene LeBell is a cornerstone of the anti-Seagal legend. LeBell was the stunt coordinator on the 1991 film Out for Justice Here, where Seagal was reportedly bragging that his Aikido made him immune to being choked out. LeBell, a giant in the martial arts world, decided to test that claim. What happened next is a Hollywood legend, though accounts do vary and Seagal denies it. LeBell allegedly put Seagal in a chokehold. It's widely reported that Seagal passed out and, in the process, lost control of his bodily functions. The story has been told for years as the ultimate takedown of Seagal's self-proclaimed invincibility. This pattern of mistreating stunt performers is a recurring theme. Kane Hodder, the actor who played Jason Voorhees in several Friday the 13th films, shared his own awful experience. Hodder was coordinating stunts on a Seagal movie and had a scene where Seagal's character kicks a stuntman. Hodder asked Seagal to aim for the stuntman's padded chest and to avoid kicking him in the groin. Seagal reportedly looked Hodder in the eye and said, "I'm going to kick him wherever I want to kick him." Then, on the first take, Seagal deliberately kicked the stuntman directly in the crotch. Hodder was furious. He immediately called a wrap for the day and confronted Seagal, telling him his behavior was unacceptable. Hodder's claim is a chilling first-hand account of Seagal's alleged disregard for the safety of the people hired to work with him. The dislike for Steven Seagal spans generations. Both the late rapper and actor DMX and martial artist Michael Jai White have been very open about their negative experiences with him. DMX co-starred with Seagal in the 2001 film Exit Wounds. While the movie was a hit, DMX had a terrible time. He later said Seagal deliberately hurt people on set. "He hurt a few people on set purposely," DMX stated, adding that he himself dislocated his shoulder in a fight scene with Seagal. DMX didn't mince words, calling him a shithead with spray-on hair. Michael Jai White, a respected martial artist, has been one of Seagal's most consistent critics. White has publicly questioned Seagal's skills, challenging viewers to see if Steven Seagal is doing anything physically in a movie that your dad can't do. He argues Seagal's moves are simple choreography, not true martial arts, and calls his ego a slap in the face to real fighters. White says Seagal's behavior toward stuntmen is notorious. He explained that because Seagal often had creative control, stunt performers had to either put up with his overly aggressive style or risk getting fired. White has said that Seagal later apologized to him during an encounter in Thailand, but he remains a vocal critic of what he sees as Seagal's fraudulent public image. Beyond the on-set bullying and ego trips, there's a much darker side to Steven Seagal's reputation. Multiple women have come forward with serious allegations of sexual harassment. 3 of the most well-known accounts are from Juliana Margulies, Portia de Rossi, and Jenny McCarthy. Juliana Margulies shared her horrific story from when she was 23, auditioning for Out for Justice. A female casting director told her to meet Seagal in his hotel room late at night, assuring her she'd be there too. When Margulies arrived, the casting director wasn't there. Seagal was alone. Margulies recalled that Seagal made sure that I saw his gun. He then allegedly claimed to be a healer and asked her to come into the bedroom. Margulies managed to get out of the room, but the experience was so traumatic that it gave her the strength years later to refuse to meet Harvey Weinstein alone, in a hotel room. Portia de Rossi shared a similar story on Twitter about her final audition for a Seagal movie. She said the audition was in his office, where he told me how important it was to have chemistry off-screen as he sat me down and unzipped his leather pants. Horrified, she ran out and called her agent, who was unfazed and replied, "Well, I didn't know if he was your type." Jenny McCarthy has been telling her story since 1998 about a 1995 audition for Under Siege 2 Wives. She said Seagal was the only person in the room and asked her to sit next to him on a couch, which she refused. He then told her the part required nudity. When she said her agent told her there wasn't any, he allegedly replied that there was off-camera nudity and demanded she lower her dress. McCarthy says she yelled, "Go buy my Playboy videos, it's on sale for $19.99, and stormed out with Seagal following her to warn her not to tell anyone. These stories, among others, paint a deeply disturbing picture of a man who allegedly used his power to intimidate and sexually harass women in Hollywood. The stories we've heard today aren't just celebrity gossip. They show a consistent, decades-long pattern of behavior that paints a deeply unflattering picture of Steven Seagal. From physical aggression and verbal abuse to a massive ego and disturbing allegations of sexual misconduct, the list of people with negative experiences with him is long and varied. We've heard from actors like John Leguizamo, who was allegedly assaulted for laughing. We've heard from the cast and crew of Saturday Night Live, who have universally branded him the worst host ever. We've seen how his rivalry with Jean-Claude Van Damme allegedly exposed a man who would talk tough but run from a real fight. We've heard the chilling accounts from the stunt community, who claim he took pleasure in inflicting real pain. And most disturbingly, we've heard the brave testimonies from women like Juliana Margulies, Portia de Rossi, and Jenny McCarthy, whose stories allege a pattern of predatory behavior. On screen, Steven Seagal played the invincible hero, but the overwhelming testimony from those who worked with him tells a very different story. A story of a man who many in Hollywood have come to despise for a legacy of alleged cruelty, bullying, and abuse that has permanently tarnished his image. What do you think about these stories? Are there any other encounters we missed? Let us know in the comments below. And if you found this video insightful, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell so you never miss an in-depth look into the stories Hollywood doesn't want you to hear. Thanks for watching.